Hi everyone. So in this video we are going to discuss about what I feel after almost a year, right? It's not, I think, around 8 months. So in the time of 8 months, what has been my experience using the Fujifilm X-S20, but from a low light perspective, and we are going to get into a lot of sample images of different types. Okay. And you're going to see how that performs. A lot of times what we see, specifically in terms of APS-C cameras or anything which is not full frame, that people will tend to say that, hey, this camera will not work with in low light and whatnot. So you're going to see sample images in terms of the photos that I've shot with anything from f2.8, f4, all the way till f1.8. So, and you're also going to see examples of f2. For example, the lenses that I have currently and I have used represent the 18 to 55 kit lens. Then we have one of my favorite current lenses, so that is the 23, if I'm not wrong, right? Okay, so no, it is the 25 millimeter f1.8 from Pergear. Absolutely fantastic lens. And this video is also going to be kind of a review of the lens as well, so you're going to see more. And then we have the 7.5 millimeter fisheye from TT Artisan, and we are going to see footage of that as well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So just check the focus. Now I'm in focus. Again, this is a manual focus lens, and we'll get into all of that. But yeah, so now let's talk about low light photography and whether APS-C camera can be good or not. So number one is in artificial light, and you can see the sample images right now of the camera in artificial light, and as you can see it's pretty good, right? If you have the right lens, then I don't think it's an issue. Again, if you have a good software, I don't think it's an issue. If you have an f4 lens, yes, it will be an issue if it's too dimly lit. For example, now I'm going to put up a sample image where it's pretty dimly lit, and if you had used f2.8 or f4 with an APS-C, here I think you would have struggled. But then again, that is why we get good lenses. So now let me kind of elaborate on this aspect of why a lens is very important, right? So if you want to buy, or suppose you have a budget of 2,500 US dollars, that is 2.5 lakh Indian rupees, and please convert it to whatever your local language is. But in a nutshell, what I want to get here is, if you have that budget and you're buying, say, a Sony A7 Mark IV or a Canon R6 Mark II, you will get the camera with the kit lens. Now the camera is very good, it's a brilliant, both brilliant cameras, but what I want you to think here is also the lens. Now you don't want to buy, ideally in my perspective, you do not want to buy a Sony A7 IV and then pair it up with a Sigma or a Tamron, which most people do because they are affordable. The problem with those type of lenses is that you do not get the level of image output that you would have otherwise got from a Zeiss or a Voigtlander, all of these type of lenses. So rather, if you invest in such lenses, which produce those brilliant images, or that beautiful color rendition, that beautiful contrast, micro contrast, or image fidelity. So you can check out Angry Photographer or Camera Conspiracy for more of this, but I'll get on to it in a later video. But please understand that the lens is very important for you, and even in low light, you not only need a 1.8 or a f2 or lower in terms of aperture, but you also need a lens which is very good in its output. So, and that is going to cost you a bit of money. Okay, you may need to buy adapters. For example, for my Fuji, if I want to have most Voigtlanders, I need to have an adapter, but we'll get on to it later someday. But the most important thing here is that we need to make sure that we have budget for lenses and mainly for travel. You you do not want to shoot in a stagnant location for too long, right? Because then all of your photos will be similar. You may not have the inspiration needed. So please keep that in mind as well. And now another aspect of low light photography is actually how stable your camera is, right? So the in-body stabilization, and again for this, for example, Micro Four Thirds is brilliant, right? The G9, the OM1, EM1 Mark III, all of these cameras absolutely brilliant. So a lot of times it's not necessarily that the bigger sensor wins for most scenarios, but a lot of times you have abilities of different cameras with like I said, with different capabilities, and that allows for low light photography, which is very good. So for example, you're going to see a few photos right now, and I don't think anyone can complain that these photos in low light are not of good quality, right? So please keep these things in mind. And now let's get into the lens review of the Per Gear 25 1.8, by the way, which is an absolute joy to use, but also can be a bit of a you know tricky lens to use, and we'll get to it why that is. So yeah, that's coming in the next section. So now is the review of the Per Gear 25 1.8, and let me tell you straight off the bat, it's an absolutely blast of a lens to use. And we'll break it down with pros and cons, but we'll start with the cons first because they're very less. Lens flare and a bit of vignetting. So this lens, maybe because of the coating that it has or the way the coating is, flares are not controlled at all. Okay, so yeah, you can use it artistically, you can introduce a lens hood, but whatever you do, if you have a bright light source in an otherwise relatively dark scene, you are going to get crazy lens flares. Yeah, if you're artistic enough to use it, for example, this is an example I'll show you, use nicely, but definitely it can wash out the contrast completely. So yeah, those things are there, but and a bit of vignetting is there in the corners at wide open at 1.8, but apart from that there is no major drawback to this lens. Now the positives: extremely small. Like this lens without the lens hood, I'm going to show you now, it is tiny, it is very small, very portable. So that's from a physical standpoint. The focus throw is very nice. The build quality is very good. There's a nice heft to it, really nice in all of these things. Now the most important thing why I got this lens is because of Angry Photographer's review about micro contrast and image fidelity. So one thing you have to keep in mind that with these lenses, quality control may not be as good as when you are purchasing it from, say, Fujifilm or Canon or Nikon. So my copy, I'm stating, is a good copy. There are a bit of scratches that I saw when I received the product, but hey, that's fine. The lens performs very well, and the micro contrast or the image fidelity that is there in the picture quality, my god, it is absolutely stunning. I'll do another video where I'll compare this with the 18 to 55 kit lens at approximately 25, and there I think you're going to see, and obviously I'll stop this down to f2.8 or whatever is the the aperture at that particular value, but it is mind blowing how good this is. You can see, in a very rudimentary way, I'll say that if an item is, or I won't say a subject or an item, but if an entity is in front of another entity, a lot of times in certain lenses you can't tell it because it's very flat, the image is flat, there is no three dimensionality to it, you can't feel the shape of the object or the entity, but here you can. And I think that's something which is also there in the Nikon 51.8 a DX crop also, which is my brother's and I use it, and it is here. and that is so nice, you know. And the black and white that this lens produces also brilliant. You're going to see sample images. So in a nutshell, absolutely fantastic lens for the price. So I paid I mean more than 100% of the actual price of this lens, because I had to get it custom, imported in India, but absolutely worth every penny. Brilliant lens, brilliant build quality, absolutely stunning images. Yeah, it's a manual focus lens, so if you don't like manual focus, you know I don't think it's that difficult to do, especially with a 25 millimeter. In street photography, you are generally stopping it down. You're not shooting that wide open, and if you are shooting that wide open, high chances, if you're not shooting extremely erratic subjects, I don't think it will be an issue whatsoever. So yeah, that's my thought on this lens, the Perger 25 1.8. Very good lens. If you want to buy it, you can consider it. And yeah, that's about the low light performance. And the entire video that you saw till now was shot in the Perger 25 1.8, and it's because it's manual focus, and especially for talking head video, it's a bit difficult because you have to stay in this one plane of focus so that you don't lose focus. And I'm also checking continuously in the LCD that whether I'm in focus or not. But yeah, hopefully you like the video, and let me know if you want to see any specific other topics or anything. Yeah, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.